when you were back at home in Leicester and you were telling us about the times in your life when you were, doing drugs and you were off the rails when you weren't on the cruise ships, did you feel like you were at a low point in your life? And then when you were away on the cruise ships, did you still have those feelings?
It's more comfortable for men to talk to men.
Yeah,
and then
there are more spaces for women to communicate and talk to each other.
Oh my God, it's really
it's so much more culturally acceptable for them to talk when they go and do things as girl groups, where the guys don't at all. So the fact that you're creating a space for guys to talk is very important, especially for me. Like, from my experience of mental health and men, I think it's the best thing.
¿Cómo estamos, mi gente? Cisco Gomez here, and welcome to an episode of The Progressing Male. Here, we tackle all those subjects that apparently men can't and won't have. Not here. We're going to tackle them head first. We're going to take on cancel culture because we want teachable moments and we want you to join in the conversation. So if we say something wrong or out of pocket, teach us, help us, because we're ready to start a conversation with you. Now, you know the drill. This show won't be the same without my right and left pillar. To the left, I have my favorite ginger, 𝗍𝗶𝗴𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. And then the chocolate maestro. I don't know why I call you that, but it suits you. Day Nosworthy.
hello.
And we've got a very special guest today, Reiss Loftus. I don't know why I said Reiss. I like that. Reiss Loftus is the creator and founder of the Brotherhood Legion. Now, he's going to share his amazing testimony, how he went from a very colourful and dangerous past, having one of the largest mental health groups in Leicester. Reiss, welcome. Or should I say Reiss?
Hey, Bruce. Thank you.
How are you?
I like it. I love when people introduce me and they talk about, the biggest mental health group in the Midlands.
Because it is, right?
Yes,
Come on now. Oh, he said Midlands, not only Leicester.
Yeah, I say the Midlands
now.
now.
Correction.
Because I don't know anyone else that's doing a similar thing that I see around socials, that I see, on my newsfeed or anything. There might be conversational groups, but what we're supplying and what we're providing is a little bit different, a little bit more unique.
Oh my God, I can't wait to get into this unique group, because when I heard mental health, I was like, we have to get you here. We have to get you here. But before we get there, before the Brotherhood Legion, I've heard some stuff about you. Leicester, by the way, for those who are international, especially back in the day, it was not a place you would go after 6 p.m. or even 5 p.m. I remember being on tour one time there and going, what the? It was rough. So how did you survive? Did you barely survive? Talk me through mini Reiss, and how did we get from the streets to Brotherhood Legion?
I survived, yeah. I think, if you're coming from the council, when you're growing in an environment anyway, you learn how to work the environment. I grew up with, a few, strong, positive male figures as my uncles and stuff like that. And as well, my mum was a strong woman as well. So you learn them things as you go about resilience, is about not giving up, and then also standing on your own. So, anywhere you go, there's going to be rough parts, and there's going to be, places that are, private estates that are probably in, they're more quiet and stuff like that. But how do you integrate into a thing makes a big difference. And I was quite an outgoing kid anyway. So I had a lot of friends, and then, you just kind of work your way through the system. You get into fights. It's normal. If anyone's from the council, then understand. I talk about it in another speaking. I say to, compared to being a dancer and then going and going into something like performing arts, and then creating like the men's mental health group, where you end up being vulnerable or showing a bit of your soul and a bit of you on a deeper level. It's normally, it's not really, it's frowned upon. Right. But I'm here. But it's frowned upon. But so you have to grow like a confidence, and you grow that by speaking your truth, and then as well by getting in a few fights and having a bit of an ego, or by someone telling you as well, to basically look after yourself. People where I come from, they don't go out and go to private colleges. They don't go out and they're not taught to chase their dreams or anything. You get taught by drug dealers and street geezers. A lot of people around your area are influenced by making money by shoplifting or hustling in a different way. So your thought system, your belief systems are a lot different, but they're normal to you.
Did you have to do that though? Sorry to interrupt you, because I felt like your story sounds circumstantial. Did you have an option, or is it because you said that you had these uncle figures and your mother, but did they participate in your discipline, or did you have the free range to get in trouble? Hence why, by the sounds of it, you got involved with drugs and shoplifting.
Yeah, everybody has a choice. Everybody has a choice, you know what I mean? So everybody has a choice. It's how you learn off your environment. And that's, you know, I learned off my environment in the way that, you know, that was in that particular way that you learn to, you know, if you got into confrontation, stick up with yourself. And you learn that, you know, that people made money from doing things like that. But there wasn't many role models around me saying, okay, then we'll put down and things. Like my mum was obviously trying to keep me on the straight and narrow. And, you know, she was, you know, we used to put a lot of pressure on her. There was 3 boys. So we used to put a lot of pressure on her. We're bringing the police back. You know, mum never taught me any. Mum taught me how to respect my elders. Mum taught me to, you know, to keep my, basically to respect and to put myself up high. But when it's just your environment's constantly, like, it's really hard to beat environment. And then when that's your daily, you know, your patterns and the things that you experience, if it's, you know, you hear about your friends in their houses getting them running, or you know, their mates has been busted for drugs, and or their mates selling drugs and they're driving the nicest cars and stuff. You're like, well, I want some of that. So you do some of that. Now, I wasn't selling drugs, you know, I had a little bit of weed when I was like 16 or something. It was minor, but you fall into the things of using drugs. You know, I used to smoke weed until when I was younger. It's quite casual, it's quite common, and I did that up to a later age. I got into harder drugs when I went to college, you know, when I went to performing arts college, and it was all, I got into a new circle of friends. It was all, you know, going out, going to the raves and that lot. And then it was just like an outlet, you know, starting off as a fun time, and then it breaks down into like 3-day benders, and, you know, you're just escaping your own reality. You're not putting that extra percentage in to better yourself. And, you know, you think it's fun, but really you're just all enabling each other just to basically, you know, bury your problems within the gear or something like that.
So it's strange because usually when people come from, let's call it for lack of a better word, like say a broken beginning or bad influence beginnings, and they get into a dance college, usually that teaches you discipline, and you got, you know, you start narrowing up. And yes, you faff about sometimes or whatever, but, you know, I think for all of us here, dance does teach you a discipline that's unlike any other. And but obviously you start experimenting with drugs, you start enjoying your life. What was it that didn't keep you away from going back to your habits even after you left dance college? Because if I'm not mistaken, after dance college, every time you would finish a job, you would go back into the same habits.
Yeah.
But what I find fascinating is that you didn't use that as an escape to leave Leicester or to try to avoid going back to those bad habits. Talk me through that.
Well, when I graduated, I did a cruise ship. So I worked for
cruise ship.
Okay. Yeah, you know, you graduate, normally you try to shoot for a cruise, and I'll go and travel. And then, so I went there, and college did give me discipline, you know. I was in there early, left late. Like,
really?
Yeah, I was like that kid that was like, even if I was on a 3-day bender hangover, do you know what I mean? I'd be in there sweating it out, and I'd be last to leave. But, you know, when I left and I went around the world, I was coming straight back to that same environment. So, you know, I was going from the Bahamas, watching the sunset in Barbados, and then go back to my uncle's gaff, smoking weed on the sofa, you know, and then because I knew I was going away again in 2 months. So to me, it was just like, okay, I want a break. But that break was, you know, situated in a place that wasn't allowing me to grow to my full potential.
I see. And what's the worst thing that you experienced or happened in Leicester that you think, damn, I shouldn't have done that?
You know, there's many nights, many weekends. I was out nearly every weekend. I mean, like religiously out every weekend from Friday to Sunday. So when you're talking about you're at a party and you're taking gear like GB or something, and it's a bit like daybreak drug, and you take too much and you go to the shop and you collapse, and then you find yourself being lifted into a hospital bed. Then, you know, I mean, you're at a party, you open your eyes and you're in hospital, and then you're like, you discharge yourself from hospital and you're going back to the party. Do you know what I mean? So there's days like that, and then there's days like, you know, I'm in shops and I'm off my face, and then my neighbours working in shops, they've been put round the back, and then I'm being kicked out of there, and I'm shouting at traffic with my top up. That I'm losing inhibitions, losing self-control. Like, they're the moments that you look back and say, none of that was really worth it. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness. So do you think that your surroundings were completely responsible for that because that's what you saw, that's what you're around? Or do you feel there was a lack of either motherly discipline or fatherly discipline, even though you had those figures around you? What was it that gave you the permission to do that? Because I grew up in a council estate too. But let me tell you something. If I even uttered the word shut up, I was scared shitless of my mum. And I had curfew from dusk till dawn. So I'm trying to understand the dynamic. What permitted you to give the permission to allow to do that?
Do you know what? Because obviously I didn't go up with my dad either, but no. So my mum had 3 lads, and you know, my mum went through some different situations with different relationships that got hard on her.
Really?
Yeah, she went through some, you know, some violence, so you watch them growing up and stuff like that. But I think it was like, maybe you could associate it, because when you look back at our behaviours and some of our subconscious things, you always think, okay, then they've come from our childhood, you know.
Yeah.
When I talk about planning and organisation, in one of my speaks, it's like, when I started to plan when I was like 2019, I started doing my personal training. It totally like opened up a whole new part of who I am and like my productivity and stuff like this. And I used to never want to plan. And I used to, when I look back and I say, why was I scared to make that commitment to people if it was like, you know, in a week or anything, people would ask me to do things. And I associate that with now when I look back, I'm like, well, my dad used to tell me he was going to pick me up all the time. And then I'd feel my mum ringing him and then he won't turn up. So and then that would make sense that I wouldn't want to commit to somebody and say, I'm going to come and show up for y'all, because and then I'm scared of letting you down. Like I always used to be let down when I was a child. Do you know what I mean? So you can't, when you look into it, you're like, okay, then well, there's where that emotional response is. Do you know what I mean?
Because the abandonment issue, so you didn't want to be the bystander.
So yeah, so people are like, oh, do you want to do this? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Or like maybe even relationships as well. Like, I'm scared to commit. Like I don't like thinking it is because then you look back when you're trying to analyze yourself and say, where are them emotions coming from? Where's that thought process coming from? And I go, well, actually, maybe it's because of that. Maybe because it's that experience of being let down all the time, seeing that confrontation, and then not wanting to be the same as of, you know, growing up.
Relationship-wise, was there anything or any woman, oh man, I don't know what your sexual preference is, that helped you or grounded you at times, or was there no time for it?
My mum grounded me a lot of the time, but, you know, because I tell my mum everything. I think that's why I can openly talk to people about things, because, you know, if there was a situation, my mum would say, look, what's going on? And we'd be able to go home and say, look, you know, I've done this, and, you know, my mum would have open space with us before, you know, she had a conversation about what she thought was best for us, which is normally the opposite of what we were doing, and what I was doing most of the time. And you know, she kicked me out a couple of times. I had to go sleep with my friends for a long period of time, my families. But at the end of the day, I was coming home. You know, boy's got a great opportunity. I'm coming home every weekend. I'm stinking because I'm on these drugs all weekend. I'm going here, and then she's seeing me throw away all this potential and all this chance that I've got, and we'll have a confrontation. So, you know, when I take accountability for it, because the life's about taking accountability, but you don't realise when you're that young, you're like, well, you know, of course, you know, what was I putting her through? And then, you know, of course you did that, you know what I mean? Because it was probably better as well for my brothers and my sisters not to see me in that state every weekend as well.
So it looks like in the pandemic, something switched. And I think we talk about this in many episodes. The pandemic for each of us, it announced something within us to pronounce something outwards. What was your moment? What did it do to you? Because it looked like it got you in order, but what was the main ingredients? What was it that was like, I need to stop, or I need to change this?
It was the lockdown. So it was the ultimatum of, because, you know, me personally, probably different podcasts as well, but I've looked into a lot of the stuff with the WF, so Davos talks as well, talking about, so people call them conspiracies and in the change in the Great Reset. I was looking into that a long time ago. And then when I seen what was happening in lockdown, and I seen the transitions and stuff, what was going on, I was watching Davos talks, and they were openly talking about people retraining, people, you know, for the fourth industrial era, how they'd have to, automation would take over. And then, you know, they were giving it with the vaccines and stuff. I wanted more independence. I wanted more, you know, ownership of what I could do and what I could provide. So I thought, okay, then, well, I want to build something bigger than what I'm doing now as a dancer. So I chose to go into personal training, knowing that it's going to be an aspect in my well-being coaching, and creating retreats to bring people out of the madness and out of technology and help them center themselves and ground themselves again back to, like society in a more, you know, whole way.
So is that where everything birthed?
Well, yeah, like that's like pretty much. Like I started changing as well when I was about 29, when I was in Blackpool, and then I was still doing the same shit. Like I was on the bugle constantly, and then I was finding myself in my bed, you know, losing my mind. And then I was like, look, if I don't change, like if I don't put the thumb on this soon, I'm just gonna waste the rest of my life. Like I was cruising by on the dancing jobs because it was in my body, it was easy. but and then I was just like diminishing the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? So when I got the push in lockdown, and they gave us a little bit of money and that lot, I used it to buy my course straight away and went, this is it. So you know what I mean? So a lot of my people that I know, they just wasted that money, but I was like, I'm just going to invest that in there. And then for my own mental health as well, I had to get my teeth into something. I had to get productive in something, because when we're bored, that's when our mind starts to lose itself.
Wow, Jesus Christ. It's so great how when you speak to other people, what happens in lockdown, it's like so polar opposite, but still amazing. Whether it's, because I had a really bad lockdown, but it's amazing how people were having these realizations. I've got another friend who made bloody 6 figures from my friends. I would sit there and be like, good for you. But seriously, I was like, really? Did we go through the same pandemic? Do you know what I mean? But it's amazing. I felt like it gave you order, it gave you or introduced structure.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything that you just named, I think it's been dormant. I don't think everything was conceived because of the pandemic. I think these are things that you've kind of pushed aside, and now it kind of just rose. And now I feel like after 2019, you've been nonstop, because to have such a successful group, I think is amazing. And am I right in saying that the reason why you targeted men in particular was because you were trying to avoid them going into specifically what you went through?
Yeah, because you learn best teachers' experience.
Yeah.
So, you can connect with people on such a deeper level on empathy and understanding when you know that you've been through similar things. And even sometimes it's like you might not have been through exactly the same situation, but your emotions were the same.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yeah.
Can relate.
Yeah.
In some way.
And we connect better as, men do. So, I've set spaces and I've whole charity events for women as well, and for the youth, for some of the stuff we do. Yeah, so we did some for, International Women's Day, but I've got an event on the 12th where we give out free haircuts, free clothes and free food, but that's for men, women and children. We're giving out toys for the kids as well. So, we do look after different departments of the community, but the prime aspect is for men, because I'm a man, so it's easier for me to bring them in and then connect with them. And then, that was pretty much it, So I do set space for women, but it's more comfortable for men to talk to men.
Yeah, and then there are more spaces for women to communicate and talk to each other.
It's really
it's so much more culturally acceptable for them to talk when they go and do things as girl groups, where the guys don't at all. The fact that you're creating a space for guys to talk is very important, especially for me. Like, from my experience of mental health and men, I think it's the best thing.
Yeah, and it's so necessary. When you talk about it, they say 1 in 17 men think about committing suicide.
Yeah,
and then 1 man commits suicide every 2 hours in the UK.
Every 2 hours?
Every 2 hours.
I didn't know that. I think that was
people a day, and the majority of them are men. So 12 of them are men.
Between 6 and 35 or something.
Yeah, so but under 35, it's the biggest killer of men. So just obviously it is here, 1 in 17 is have you ever thought about committing suicide? Have you ever thought about committing suicide?
I have not.
Yeah. Have you?
No, I haven't.
That's it. Have you?
I haven't, no.
Yeah.
I'm fortunately blessed not to, but we were discussing this before. I can't dabble with that side.
Yeah, you said something really powerful. We went to dinner one time. I went to support Dwayne because he had a show, and then we had dinner, and he said something, and I don't know if it was the vino or how profound he said it, but I don't know if you want to repeat it.
I said basically, for me, I'm a real positive person. So for me, I believe in whatever you feed, whatever you lead with.
Yeah.
Your focus feed and become that. So for me, what I know that I have to focus on the light instead of the darkness, because if I focus on the darkness, I know that I'll become the darkness. Yeah. So for me, I can't become the darkness because I commit to whatever it is that I believe.
Yeah. Your thoughts become things, bro.
Right. So if I commit to what I believe, if I believe in the darkness, and then I believe in that low vibration frequency, and I believe in committing suicide or so on and so forth, I will commit to committing suicide.
Yeah.
And I will fully commit to that belief system, because that's why I feed the positivity. That's why I feed my light.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know that whatever I believe in, whatever I feed, I have the capability of becoming. And that's why I don't become my thoughts, feelings, or emotions. Happy, sad, up, down. I don't become my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I know that I acknowledge them, I accept them, I experience them, and I embrace them, but I don't become them.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'll commit to it, and I'm very committed to being in my light. So yeah, that's what I told Cisco.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
It is.
Yeah, that's powerful, bro. But that's a gift as well. You know, it's a gift to be able to have that awareness of yourself.
Yeah.
And understanding of where your mind goes.
And I think that's what's beautiful about what you do, because you're actually empowering men and women. But as a man, you're empowering them to actually understand that they too have the tools and the gift, even if they can't do it like I do it, but they have the ability, they have the capability to use those tools in a better way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
When you were back at home in Leicester and you were telling us about the times in your life when you were, doing drugs and you were off the rails when you weren't on the cruise ships, did you feel like you were at a low point in your life? And then when you were away on the cruise ships, did you still have those feelings?
Like, it was my escape. Like, as in, like, it was my escape from that scene, like the dancing was. So, like, every time I'd go home and I'd hit it hard. And when I came to dancing, it was like, I was in my element, and, I'd come off all the drugs and that lot. There were sense, like, on the cruises, I'd get lonely. One of the biggest things that I've ever struggled with was probably is loneliness.
Well,
I think that was one of my, like, not lack of confidence or lack of anything like that, just more the sense of being lonely, even though that you can be halfway around the world. Not many jobs I've ever had is you'll find a lad that was from the Caribbean or anything. It is not that, I have to have somebody that's from there, because I can get on with a lot of different people. So, my friends would always be on the other side of the world. So, there'd be times when I'd be on the cruises and, I'd feel, on my own. And they come in waves as well. Even when you're doing really good, you get kind of sometimes imposter syndrome, you're like, and then, you forget about the journey and you go in yourself a little bit. So
That makes sense.
I would imagine that, because 2019 was yesterday, technically, it's only 3 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that create anxiety from like having such a massive chop of a change? Because it wasn't a gradual change. It feels like once.
it's just been like a full flip.
Yeah. Does that create anxiety?
Not anymore. Like, I think, like, when I was talking about like all these situations as well, it was like, after these past couple of years, since I've literally zoned in and like pointing my compass in the right direction, like, I've just come into myself extremely. Like, I plan so many things, I organise so many events, but I don't ponder on of how good they're going to end up. I just trust that the universe or God is going to provide for what I want, and normally it comes within abundance what I want. And as long as I do my best, then that's all that matters. Best win. I can go sleep on it. Do you know what I mean? I had it full, bro.
Come on.
I love that. How I live that. So I'm
A little bit.
my affirmations, my meditations, the way I talk to the lads, everything like that, just keeps me in gratitude constantly. So I feel empowered on a day-to-day basis. Like,
Come on.
an extreme creator. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like when we said how hyped I was to come here, like, in my mind, I'm like, I created this situation because, I created the moment that we made the connection, and we're all creating these little other movies within that we all experience each other's. But it was my actions that put me in this seat. And it's your actions that have made this seat possible. Do you know what I mean? So we all have to embody that and understand it. Like you said, we are, where we put our minds in that light is gonna make a big impact on what we create for our reality.
I agree.
So, I'm very intentional, and very, very intentional, and I'm very actionable.
Yeah.
Like, extremely actionable. Yeah.
What does a day and night like in the Brotherhood Legion look like? Like, what do you do? Like, what is it? Is it a weekly event? Is it a monthly event? Like, what does it look like? Just in case people are curious that they want to join.
Yeah, I run down for the Brotherhood. So it's basically a big, massive group for inclusion. So on Sundays we call it, even though you went to Sunday service, sometimes we call it Sunday service or Sunday source. We have a free fitness session in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get the lads together, and then we'll do some high intensity training, and then we'll either go for coffee afterwards as well and have the conversation. And you find what's beautiful about it is that, when the people have exerted themselves, and they might be at different levels of fitness, but people are just motivating each other, and they bond extremely because they're going through a war. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they're going through that
Together as well. Yeah, that's so true.
And so when you come to the coffee, the chat, you feel a connection, and then you see these men open up and you know, they talk honestly and be vulnerable about some of the stuff that's going on in their mind, or some of the, you know, there might be one man across the table talking about how he tried to end his life.
Right.
You know.
Oh, they're that open. So
Yeah, that open, bro.
and then testimonies is not private. It's like
we're sitting around the table and we're talking about, you know.
Of course, that's the point. It's like it
no,
opens
but you
it
know
up,
what I mean.
innit?
Because I know they're going to be subject to so much gravitas. I thought that came after, I don't know, private chats, or you have one-on-ones with them, or like, you know what I mean. I never knew that they would be open. Like, do they open straight away, or does it take a few weeks for them to like?
Some of them will observe, some of them will, you know, they'll listen, but some of them are just like, it's because really a lot of them want to talk.
Yes.
They don't feel like they're going to be safe.
Too, and they're creating the safe space. So once you do that, you just can't. It's almost like they've created it from they got them in the room doing the fitness.
Yeah.
And they've already created this room where men go, this feels great, man. Mm-hmm. And you walk to the coffee shop or wherever it is, and you've already bonded with this guy, and then you're just like, yeah, bro, do you know what? I just feel like a brother, and you just feel like talking, and that's because you created it. Yeah. Like I said, you're intentional about the room that you're creating this safe space to be. So it allows men to just go, yeah, I'm safe here.
And the fitness beforehand is one of the biggest release of endorphins a human can get. Is actually the most beneficial thing for anyone with mental health issues. It's the one thing that's advised from people who really know what they're talking about when it comes to mental health. The one thing is advised is, what's your activity like? Yeah. You sit at a computer all day. That's the first. No, I sit in there all day. I do exercise. I'm depressed. The first thing you need to do is exercise.
Exercise, sunlight, and speaking. Yeah.
Those natural caveman kind of things that we're meant to do, what we're made to do, not just sit inside. And by you doing that, will make them feel positive and good about themselves.
Definitely.
So then when they're in a safe space with each other, they've already overcome and bonded on something. So then talking feels so much easier.
Yeah.
That's it. And then so like we do that, and then we have an evening session now where we play pool, ping pong, and then once again I bring in specialists. So one of our first ones was a bloke that was specialised in family court. So that was really valuable for men. It will go, that's
really valuable. It was family court, bro. Because every man is, bro.
Like family court,
like fatherhood, like do the check.
Basically, men, they can't see their kids. We go through court cases to see their kids.
That is a normal thing, bro.
There's a lot of men in a situation like that. So we got Nathan, who does that for advocates. He came in the set ground, and he had a conversation, gave the lads some, you know, understanding and a little bit of assurance and stuff.
No, that's really important.
But it was an emotional session. You know, we had men crying in that session, you know, because of the information that was given to them. And then so we do that. We take them hiking, we do camping, and then we go and do homeless walk and talks where we get the blokes to go out on the streets and we give them hot food, hot drinks.
Community.
This gives them, you know, purpose. It gives them, you know, a little bit of a gift back to them that they'll be able to give to other people as well. So we do so many different things. If it's built just around a conversation, we have a WhatsApp group as well. So where they're reassuring, they're constantly talking every day. So they're on it all the time.
This is amazing because you know what it is? It never gets old to hear men communicating with other men. It's so necessary. We are so busy doing something that we never give attention to ourselves, really.
It's almost nothing new.
No, and it's crazy. So for there to be a community, especially someone like Leicester, where it's really a man's world there. Do you know what I mean? In the sense, right, there isn't nothing fluffy and cutesy there. You know what I mean? No, for real. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you don't get this there. Do you know what I mean? That's, you know. So the fact that they get to do that on a regular basis, and you supply not only like sports stuff, but things that they can acquire as tools as well, and they can practice those tools. That's amazing. Congratulations, man. That is incredible.
Thank you.
That is incredible. And what's next then for you? Well, what, like, you know, this is what it is now, but what do you see in the future? What would you like it to grow into?
The vision is we'll just become a CIC, which is Community Interest Company.
Congrats.
Yeah, so now we're done. The real business. So we just got an award as well. So it's
excuse me.
Yeah, so it's all happening. So we've made some good relationships. We'll get some good funding. We'll be able to pay for people's memberships. Then get them programs. You know, maybe even in the future we'll get them on certain courses. You know, get the CSS cards. We can buy bigger rooms and take them further on trips. So bigger team activity buildings. You know, in the next 5 years, it'd be great to have our own facility, a warehouse where we can have half a gym, half a social area, and then some cubicles for one-to-ones. So this is this is the vision. Yeah, so that's a part of it. Get my guys trained up on mental health as well, so some of the guys can give back to the other guys that are new.
I bet there's grants in Leicester that you could apply for.
Yeah,
House and stuff.
Yeah.
The government invests a lot now in stuff like that.
there is. Yeah, and I'm speaking to some guys that are going to help me do that. And there's like, this is what this year's going to be about. It's going to be about attaining them grants and then using them to basically just do what I'm doing now, but on steroids. So,
all right.
yeah.
That's amazing. Well, however the progressing male can help, we will be there, because it is, I believe like progressing male will be amazing for like all these networks of men helping other men eventually doing this.
I'd love that.
And can you imagine just like almost like a Comic-Con of mental health with all of us lot just like congregating to just be like every man, shape, size, gender, whatever it is. Just
That's
sitting out for each other, creating a community, if you will.
I love that.
That's it.
I want to end the interview with some of your affirmations because I think they're really, really powerful. And Mr. Miyagi over there, the Black Miyagi, he loves an affirmation or like a
Slogan.
a slogan, if you will. Ideal and solutions, not problems.
Yeah, I think the solutions are probably.
They quite obvious, but a lot of us don't do that. We get so anxious and swamped with the actual problem that the solution is just never ever a priority. I always say to my students, visualize the reward, not the obstacle, because the obstacle is life. You know what I mean? Like if you can just go a step further, like who knows what you can achieve. Your next one is always a victor, never a victim.
Yeah.
It's difficult not to be a victim. You know what I mean? When like, if you happen those days where like everything just keeps on 2-hit, 3-hit combo, 4-hit combo.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And I believe women are better at dealing with that. With us, it's like, I don't know. I feel, for me anyway, I've seen a lot of men stiffen up.
Yeah.
So, and then you have, I live in love and not fear.
Yeah.
Which one of these is the most important, or do they come like a Big Mac meal, fries, drink? And
I think the first one that is probably the most important for me is the ideal solutions, not problems.
Right. I love that one.
Because and then any challenge, I'm always looking for, okay, then how do I help? How do I, well, you know what I mean? How do I work this? How do, if I fix it, or, how do I get around it? It's always and that's literally, if somebody says, I want to do this, I go, okay, then if I'm talking to someone, they're like, oh, I want to, be a singer or something. They're like, I'm trying to get my singer. I say, well, have you got social media? Are you doing this and this and this? My brain just goes to offering you loads of different solutions to whatever challenge that you go. Sometimes it could be a hindrance as well, because if you're talking to someone and you don't get asked for your advice, or they give you advice but they don't really want to, it looks as judgment. So if I'm talking to my friend, and here you go, even if you're friends and he's having a hard time, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, have you tried this and this? Sometimes people can take that as, okay, then
whatever stepping them out.
Yeah, like I'm judging them, and they could take it as a negative, and then their brain will be like, he thinks he's better than me. When really I'm trying to help as much as I can. So that's probably my most important, because like I said, like I'm always doing an event, I'm always doing things. So if I get an event and someone's ringing me up and saying I can't do this, or you know what I mean, or this venue shuts down, I have to go straight into where can I find another one? How can I create another one? Do you know what I mean? So that's probably my most important one. And then there's I live in love and not fear. So that probably comes second. And then always a victor, never a victor. I think now I'd have them probably around in that order. Because like we was talking about, the way we think, the words we use attaches to our feelings and our behaviors. So, if you constantly, anxiety is through fear. So I can constantly embed these unconscious, these monologues and stuff in my mind, then they help support, whatever the stress is that I'm dealing with.
A very intentional man, aren't you, Reiss?
That was a word he used.
I love
It's
that.
intentional.
But people's like, I'm intentional, and then like they speak and you're like, nigga, no. But you really are. You really are. I'm so proud of you. I don't know you, but I'm really, really proud of you. I think what you're doing is amazing. We are gonna have all the information if you want to help, if you want to join of the Brotherhood Legion in all of the places where you can see or hear this podcast, because I think it's extremely important. And even if you're not a man, please retweet, re-message, whatever you can, because organizations like these are important, and you never know, one little message can save a life, maybe. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, my bro.
I appreciate you so much.
All the love.
Now, you know how we end the episode? We have this kind of new rule in season 3 where we go around and we look at the lesson of the episode, which means basically the male lesson. I made that up, I know. So we'll start with you, Dwayne. What is the lesson in this episode?
the lesson for me in this episode, thanks to you, my brother, is with active effort, it's never too late. Yeah. And accountability is key.
Yeah, facts.
Facts.
Okay.
I don't know if I can top that. That community is key.
Love that.
Yeah, big.
My one is, which is I'm surprised about, is remind yourself never to judge a book by its cover, because I honestly didn't think that Leicester was capable of something like this, just because of the history, my experience with Leicester as a queer man. You know, it feels somewhere where I go for a few hours and then beat it. You know what I mean? And this is gonna be the catalyst for more than I don't think you even know. It's incredible. And yeah, I wish you all the best, Reiss.
Yeah,
We're going to be, Progressive Male's going to be with you every step of the way, supporting you in whatever capacity we can. And thank you so much for watching or listening. We really appreciate your time. And yes, you know the drill by now. Always keep it real without the spiel.
No.